everyone. Welcome back to Ball to Book Spotlight. My name is Drew Heath, one of the co-founders of Ball to Books, and your host for today. As always, with Ball to Book Spotlight, we're here to showcase people who play sports at a high level, whether that be in college or professionally, and now transitioned successfully into a new phase of life. For those that don't know, I was born and raised in Stamford, Connecticut, and I don't think we get a lot of love for the people that we produce. I think we produce some very talented individuals, and today we have one of those people on with us today. He's a former Division I player at Fairfield University. He is an overseas basketball player playing in Canada, and currently he's the founder of NODAT, No Days Off Training. We got my guy, Steve Johnston, on today. Steve, what's up, man?
Chilling, man. Appreciate you having me on this. Like you just said, Connecticut, and that's one of my goals is kind of being help showcase the talent we have, from on especially on the basketball side, but we do have a bunch of talented individuals from all over the space. We have a bunch of basketball players, good coaches, videographers. Like it's crazy to see what a sport can do to bring talent out of people. It's crazy. But
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's funny, like growing up there, you don't realize like how small of a state we are. Then you travel and people have no idea like sometimes where Connecticut even is. But I do think not only the state, but definitely like the southern part of the state, since we're so close to New York, we do, I think, get like a very eclectic group of people and different ranges of talents. But yeah, man. So shout out to CT and from CT. But yeah, dude, let's jump right into it. Tell us well, obviously we know where you grew up now, but tell us growing up in Connecticut and how you were first introduced into sports.
yeah, so I was born in Queens, New York, but I moved to Stanford super early at like 2 years old. So I didn't really grow up in New York at all. So, but I've been in Stanford, I was in Stanford basically from what was that, 94, 95 through the pandemic. I mean, my parents still live there, but I moved out actually on my own. I'm still in Connecticut, but I'm on my own through the pandemic. So I've been in Stanford for the majority of my life. And intro to sports, I really don't really remember what first sport, I was really into. I just know I did martial arts to start. I did Taekwondo, and and then I also played basketball, and I just, from my recollection, I was always better than, some of my peers. I just remember playing Stanford youth growing up. My coaches always favoring me. And, the other thing was my dad, would play pickup, at the park, and I would just be on the side watching him dribbling and whatnot. And so things like that, I think that's when I first was introduced to sports, was kind of like they put me into martial arts kind of to help build my confidence and self-defense. And
Mm.
basketball was the second one.
Nice, man. So as you mentioned, you obviously played ball in college. What was the journey to get there, and then what was the decision to play at Fairfield?
Whew. That was it was a bit of a journey, talking about learning about myself and figuring out what I wanted to do. I think I um I made this narrative when I was young, and like I think about it, and it's the reason why I'm a trainer now, like just being able to educate the up and coming generation about being smart about your goals and aspirations. And I was almost consumed with the thought of, when I was super young, I wanted to make the NBA. When I realized I wasn't good enough, which I was self-aware of, which was, it's hard to kind of admit that, but I definitely wanted to be a pro. But I was just so consumed with that instead of, working with a plan to make it happen. So like I said, so elementary, I was solid. Getting to middle school, it was more of that was good. I was really good in middle school, but that was like kind of my intro when I went to Cluny Middle School. In sixth grade, we were really good. We had our seventh grade, we were solid. We had on the eighth grade team, it was like Tevin Baskin, that grade above me was really good. So that was like TOR had Eric Jean, that's my guy. Guam had Diego Ramirez. Diego was a dog.
We're
Bunch
not
of
Stanford
like
legends right now, man.
yeah, yeah, like these guys, like I grew up going against, and like I considered Eric my rival growing up. Not in a bad way, but somebody that got the respect of everybody and everybody knew he was good. So he was kind of like the MJ to my Kobe, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
You're like
Kobe, I'm trying to,
motivational purposes.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So, it was a middle school was a transition. Sixth grade, I got bullied a little bit, and basketball kind of was there for me. So after I found that out, like seventh grade, I decided I want to play college basketball.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I was just in outside all the time at Scalzi Park. For those who don't know, it's like a local park in Stanford. And by eighth grade, ninth grade, LA Fitness opened up, and that was the spot for me to go to. I used to live in LA Fitness. I went to AIT, which is a magnet school, technology school, one of the first of its kind in the area, heavily based with like networking and like Cisco and all these other things. Built a brand new school. It was really nice. Didn't have a sports team, so I had to play for West Hill. My high school journey was up and down,
Mhm.
more downs than ups, but that's part of the growth. So I played West Hill. Freshman year, I didn't get to play. I know I was supposed to play. I was going to get moved up to JV. They were talking to me, I was going to lead the freshman team, and fractured my ankle playing football. And,
Mhm.
and then I have a plate in my leg for the rest of my life. And
Wow. I never
yeah.
knew that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a crazy injury, and really it was my first obstacle that I've second I would say outside of bullying, that was my first like bump in the road. Like it was really tough to kind of figure out like this, what am I going to do with myself?
Mhm.
Um and so I came back, and KAU trials came, I got cut, and that was another thing that hurt me. And um since sophomore year came, JV, made it to varsity, didn't play much. Coach White at West Hill. Um, and I just wasn't happy there. I played well. Coach Lotta, who I still am close with today, he was the JV coach, helped me a lot. And I ended up leaving to go to St. Luke's. And that's when a lot of things kind of opened up for me. Leaving like a lot of my friends to play there. Um, and from there, scored 12, almost 1,300 points in 3 years. I reclassed to help me get an extra year. My grades dropped going from public to private school. If you guys aren't familiar with the NEPSAC, a lot
Mhm.
of these prep schools are very rigorous in academics, and it's a different level. It's a really, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a different level on the academic side, not just basketball, but like I said, the academic side, it was an adjustment. So after that, it was good. Killed it. Barely played AAU. I think that's what really hurt my recruiting. Um, like I said, I got cut my freshman year. Sophomore year, I couldn't find a team. Junior year, my first junior year, I played for a team in New York called the New York Metro Hawks for
Mhm.
like three tournaments, and then I quit because I was sitting on the bench. We were driving all over, and they weren't playing me.
Yeah.
Um, in the meantime, while that actually was happening, I was trying to transfer to South Kent. For those who don't know, it's one of the most prestigious basketball schools in the Northeast. They've produced guys like Andre Bloch, Darrell Wright, Isaiah Thomas,
Yeah.
um, and a bunch of guys, Nick Stalkus, Mo Harkless.
Yeah, they got
Uh,
an NBA roster full of alumni.
yeah,
Yeah,
full
yeah,
of full. And then they got, I mean, now like I have a kid that I train who's gonna go there next year.
yeah.
Um, they have a kid named Papa Conte who I've trained a couple times, where he's got like Michigan, Maryland, Pittsburgh. Like these guys are high level. Anyway, besides that, and then yeah, and then my second junior year, I played with a team called ABC. And I was really trying to use that year to get better, and I did all right. Try to use it to get to South Ken again. Financial aid wasn't enough. Um, so I ended up going back to St. Luke's. We won a chip my senior year. So,
Nice.
and on the recruiting road, my senior year, I actually garnered a couple of letters from like American, Quinnipiac, Marist. I said Marist already.
Mm-mm.
No, American, Quinnipiac, Marist. We reached out to them. They wanted more film, and but I think it was just difficult. They didn't have enough time, and I was already late in the recruiting game. So um the other option was I had this school, Clark University in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
really good D3 school. And it was either walk on at Marist, Fairfield, or go play Division III basketball. And this is where I said my ego comes into play, where I was just like, I felt like I was a Division I kid. So ended up choosing Fairfield. They didn't waitlist me. Marist actually waitlisted me, and Fairfield didn't, even though I feel like Fairfield's program is a little stronger than Marist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the financial aid package was correct at the time.
Yep.
And then they reneged on that, unfortunately. So it put me in a really bad hole. So that was the journey right there. I know it was a little long-winded for those who are listening, but that was kind of abbreviated storyline there. There's a lot of little things in between, but long story short, I chose Fairfield based off the academics, and their basketball team was on the rise.
Nice, man. No, I mean that's definitely. I think people need to hear that whole story, right, to understand like the full picture, and how you got there. Some I feel like we only hear about the stories where it's just a upward rise the whole time. We don't hear too much of the ups and downs. And then you stayed all 4 years at Fairfield, correct?
Yes, there was times where it was, like I said, it was my basketball journey was never smooth at all. Never. Even so, going back to growing up, people off my appearance think I can't play.
Mm,
Uh, like I said, I got heckled a little bit for my looks, but then when it came to playing, they were like, "Oh, he can go."
yeah.
So, um, same thing, same story at Fairfield. Got there, and like I said, I'm gonna tell some stories, but I don't want to expose too much because I like the political side of things. But it was it was an interesting like experience. It helped me grow a lot.
Mm,
And coming in as I was a walk on, but I was a practice player my freshman year. They said had to sit down with the head coach at the time, and he was like, "We don't have room for a walk on, so you'd have to be a manager practice player." So I was like, "You know what? I'll do whatever." And that was the most humbling experience ever.
mm,
Doing laundry, wiping sweat off the floor, getting the water jug, filling it up before practice,
mm.
going to games, sitting behind the bench, bringing the chair out for the coach. Like I was really a manager before I was even a hooper. And I'm a hooper. Like it just put me in a different spot, and it put me in a different perspective, which then towards the end of the year, injuries happened, and they gave me a jersey, and from there it was another uphill battle. The coach said, this is the practices are your games.
Mhm.
You have to show up every practice. And so I took that to heart. And, there were days where I was just killing the guys.
Yeah.
Starters. I was on scout team. Um, and I'm just like, I can help the team win. You just gotta just give me a shot, like I'm not saying I'm the best ball handler because I wasn't, but I can shoot the ball. I know what I could do.
Mm.
And like I said, injuries happened my sophomore year, put me in. That was all I was allowed to do, catch and shoot. And yeah, so that was an uphill battle. And towards the end of my sophomore year, I was playing. With the seniors. I did what I had to do defensively. I wasn't great on ball, but I was great on help side. I knew where to
Yeah.
be.
Play those
Um,
lanes. Yep.
yeah, taking charges, literally like those little things that you got like players and things average fan wouldn't recognized I was doing. I was boxing out every play. Like those little things got me the little playing time I was trying to get.
Mhm.
And so that I think that's the biggest thing. If somebody can, if listening and they're thinking like, oh, I want to try to walk on, or I want to, be seen, you got to be consistent with the little things. And on top of that, being able to have a superpower, either which is ball handling, defense, shooting, whatever it may be. But you got to be able to do everything outside of your superpower to
Yeah.
a high level.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was I played. So thinking I'm going into my junior year thinking like, okay, I played with seniors, like he put me in over a couple other guys.
Right.
Just rode the bench most of junior year until, I mean, we literally, I'm not proud of it, but my last 2 years at Fairfield historically was the worst 2 seasons in school history.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, so it's something that I have to live with, but like it's a story to tell.
Right.
And it's the lessons I learned in the locker room and on the court that I think make me such a good trainer. And like when I coach, I think I'm a really good coach because of the perspective I had
Mhm.
as a player who's, you have your top players, your bench players, and then your walk-ons and guys that are probably going to transfer, right? So I'm back here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing everything up front, how everyone's being treated,
Yeah.
how I'm being treated. What can I do as a person that's not playing, help them? I was the biggest cheerleader.
Mhm.
I was screaming. I was like, yo, help side, yo, shooter, shoot. Like I knew the scouting report, like
Yeah.
all these little things, like that's what I was doing. Then going into my senior year, I ended up earning the starting spot. I started my senior year as a team captain. Um, and actually before I get into my senior year, going into my junior year, I was going to transfer.
Okay.
The only school that I was really looking at was that actually they reached out on my behalf was Assumption, which is in Mass
Okay.
D2.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was between me and another kid. I thought I worked out with a fever and I was doing really well. Like I drove to Mass for a workout with the head coach, had a fever, shot the lights out, was doing really well. I was a little cocky because like coming from a D1 going D2, like
I got this.
yeah. It was still a learning experience. They had their all-time leading shooter working out and he hit me a couple times for some threes, but like like I said, I held my own and
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, are you gonna offer or no? And he was like, yeah, well, we need you to see you one more time. Come up to play pickup again. So I did, and I just never heard back from him. And as a part of me, like I should have followed up more.
Right.
But if you're a coach and you want a player, you would be on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I knew what it was. Like I was already a walk on, and I can see what coaches do with the players. They are very active with the ones that they really want to be a part of. So yeah, go fast forward going to my senior year. Start off pretty solid. Play Central Connecticut. We beat them. Played Duke our second game of the year at Cameron Indoor, and got smacked by 50. And that was the year they won a national championship anyway.
So
So
you get played against the natty champ.
yeah, Jalil Okafor, Justice Winslow, Quinn Cook, Tyus Jones,
Yeah.
Jason Allen, Semi Ujale, Rashid Suleiman, Emil Jefferson. Who else? I'm probably missing a couple. I said Jalil. I'm trying to remember their starting lineup. But yeah,
Had a squad.
yeah,
Yeah.
they had a squad.
Yeah.
The kid Sean Obi from Great Greens Farms was, I don't know if you know, he moved to Connecticut late like 2010,
Okay.
2011, 6'9". I want to say Sean, don't kill me. I don't know where you're particularly from, but he ended up going to Rice, killed it at Rice,
Okay.
and then he transferred to Duke.
Okay.
Barely played at Duke, but got a Duke degree.
Yeah.
And got his master's at Maryland. He went to U for his 5th year. So
Okay.
I mean, like I said, he used basketball the right way. Got
Yeah.
2 degrees, 2 very prestigious degrees. Um, but yeah, so that was basically college. Senior year was up and down. I struggled, lost
Yeah.
my starting spot to a freshman, Tyler Nelson, who ended up being the career all-time leading points at Fairfield.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I say that, there's a time where I was actually very sour about it because I worked so hard to get to this
Right.
point,
Yeah.
and to just see it just dissolve in front of you is just, yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of things that went on that year,
Yeah.
off the court that were difficult, and it kind of affected me on the court. So the psyche is another part as a
Yeah.
trainer I'm big on. So yeah, and that was the end of that, end of the end of the road there.
Man, I love that you were talking about, I think you were referring to your junior year or senior year when you were saying you have to have your superpower and then be good at everything else. I tell kids all the time, it's like pick your one thing you're gonna kind of master. You still need to do everything else, but like what's your thing? I can be like, I know this kid will provide this for me or do this thing for me. Which I think is huge. And then same thing too, bro. I always tell kids too, like I've been in every position on a team. So I feel like I relate to all you guys. I've been the bench warmer, I've been the star player, I've been the role player, I've been in every position. So like I know how the guy getting the ball at the time feels. I know how the dude that doesn't get in the game feels. But I think like you're saying, that leads to being a good coach. Because some
Yeah.
coaches like I've been the man my whole life. I was all state, I was all American, I played high D1. I played professionally for 12 years. I have no clue what it's like to not get playing time. So then it's like, oh yeah, well, you got to entertain the 12th guy on the team as much as you're entertaining your leading scorer. So
Yeah.
that was big. Um, the thing I love, and I was kind of part of this, and I got to see it firsthand too. People, you play overseas. It's awesome. It is a phenomenal experience. Kind of touch on the experience of getting to playing overseas, because it isn't just like, oh, you're good, here's a country with a roster, go play in this country.
I mean, I caught a gist. I like you froze, but
Yeah.
I know the question. All right. So the overseas lifestyle is not glamorous at all. At all. At all. So like I am an example of somebody who had to figure it out on my own.
Mm,
Uh, I uh I had no help, and like I'm not saying this in a rude way. I didn't have any help from coaches.
mm,
Uh but it just that's what it was, and I understand it. Like I get it. Like right now I'm building my own reputation. So if I'm a coach and I had to put my line for a walk on from your Division 1 team, I'm not gonna be able I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that, put my name out on the line to give to agents who that's their life, these are their livelihood.
right.
Um so I had to learn about scams. I
Mm,
had to learn about agents. I had to learn about teams. I had to learn about how hard it is to go to a couple of showcases in the States to quote unquote get you exposure. Um, I spent a good 2 years to get my opportunity to go to Canada. So I graduated in 2015, or maybe a year and a half, but the amount of traveling I did in that year and a half, I was
mhm,
working like a couple jobs, 3 jobs. Um, all in basketball. Like I was doing a score table, I was training kids, and then I was doing like camps during the day or whatever it may be at the other, like I was working in an office at one point, doing like recruiting for tech firms and things like that. So I was I was working, and I was trying to go to like showcases in New York, Virginia. I went to Vegas. I know I reached out to you
mhm.
to go to my first one in Vegas. Um, and I had to pay all this money. Like it was an investment in myself, and I understood that. And the worst part for me was I was always in the All-Star games for every single showcase I went to. I went to about six. I was in the All-Star game for actually I was in the All-Star game for five out of the six.
Mhm.
The one that I didn't, um, I was a little upset with, but it was what it was. That was it was with organization at the time called Eyeball.
Mm,
Um, but other than that, I was always in the All-Star game. I was a top 10, 15 game, and I didn't get anything. So ended up even traveling to Lithuania
mm-hmm.
on a tour, and I did all right. I could have played a lot better. I have the highlight film, like highlight clips, and I see it. I'm like, I did all right. I could have did a lot better, but it's just a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a different ball game to be seen. And the coach was like, the coach that I had was a well-known coach in Lithuania. Like he partnered with the guy I was with. I'm like, yo, is there anybody you know? He was like, unfortunately, like most of these teams, we went in September, like the beginning of September. Most of these teams have their guys,
As already.
like by mid-August, like
Yeah.
guys already in training camp.
Yeah.
So I was like, he was like, if you guys came earlier, but he said like three of us would have got like would have potential. He's like, you and two of your teammates would probably get, you
Uh,
know,
sure.
a potential deal.
Yeah.
But one guy out of the whole group, and it was like 25 Americans, had a got a workout.
Mm,
Was him was he was also 6'6", so he had size on him. So they were looking for somebody who could rebound and stuff. And he ended up shitting the bed. He didn't do well in the
yeah.
workout. He's out of shape, and sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but like, yeah,
Okay.
it was just like I said, it was like just a lot of stress, a lot of
Yeah.
stress, a lot of stress. And after that, came back, went to another camp and killed it. And me and my teammates all got invited to a workout in Ohio. And it was two representatives from Canada.
Mm,
Um, they were starting a new league. It's called the CBL. And they were like, "Yeah, come to Ohio, all six of us, because we won the championship in
mm,
that." And we went, we all went, ended up going into help rent a room at a Red Roof Inn. I took an
okay.
18-hour bus ride
Yep.
to Ohio from Stanford, and like I said, I did it. I did whatever I had to do,
Mm,
and I thought I played all right. I could have did better, but like I said, my superpower was shooting. I was able to handle it a little bit, get to my spots. I was a good system guy. I knew how to play in a system because of my college. And I wasn't really a one-on-one go get it myself until I stopped playing, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, so I talked to one of the coaches. He was like, "Yeah, we really like you, and you have dual citizenship." So I think that was the other thing that helped me was having my dual citizenship. Having a heavy, my mom's from Trinidad and Tobago, so there's a heavy Caribbean base in Canada. So they were thinking, all right, we get him, maybe we can kind of build up this base,
yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. So it was a plan. Then after that, got an official invite. I still have the letter to go to combine in Canada in Scarborough, which was dope. At the Scarborough Pan Am, they had this facility was built for, I don't know if it was like the Olympics or qualifiers for the Olympics. It was beautiful. Three full European, regulation courts. They had a whole Olympic sized pool and like a super crazy weight room. It was great, and tested our athleticism, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Once again, played well, and then we guys who did well got signed.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate part with Canada, and I don't tell this often, was like my team had 4 point guards.
Uh,
Every other team in the league had one, and
yeah.
then a combo guard.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course, this is my luck. So, um, going back to what it was at Fairfield, my practices, I was fighting, like
Yeah.
I was like going back and forth, going at the guys, and like I said, I don't tell this often, but I ended up getting cut,
Mm,
and it wasn't my owner's choice. My owner said I didn't want to even. There was no doubt in my mind. I was trying to trade you and
Right.
try to move you to get you an opportunity. It was based off the owner.
Yeah.
So, um, it was a blessing in disguise because those guys ended up playing when I left. They got one more paycheck, or no, they didn't even get another paycheck after I left.
Mm,
So then the league just dissolved because they owed money.
right.
And those guys started like, well, like, yo, where's our money? You're supposed to pay us. So, like I said, I looked at it two ways. Like I thought I deserved to be there, but I would have been playing for free.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of those guys, some of them continue to play. Another guy from Connecticut, he's still playing. He went a bunch of places in Europe. Another guy, that guy is called, his name is Scott. The other guy is Chris Carter. He I think he was in Australia most recently.
Okay.
So like some of these guys, these were guys, and most of these guys these was our first year. We were mostly rookies.
Yeah.
Everyone was hung, every game was a
Go get it.
dogfight because
Yeah.
everybody was like, yo, this is my chance. Like this is where I can start and then keep moving up. So yeah, so look, that story in itself, if you want to play pro, if you're not at a D1, a high D1, or if your college coaching staff does not have connections overseas, which is something you need to ask when you go visit the school,
Yeah.
and you want to play pro, like you can't go to that school.
Yeah.
Like if it's a lower school, like not lower, but like a D2, D3, if they don't have connections,
Yeah.
you want to play pro, you can't go to that school because you want to go to the school that can help you get to that point. Even at the division ones,
Right.
even the division ones,
Yeah.
crazy. You would think, you know, somebody would like help out, but no.
Yeah. No, it's the people that do ask about it, unless you have it's similar to like high school recruiting going to college, but then college to pro, you find out very quick it's a business. Kind of like you were saying, like a coach putting his life on the line for a scholarship is a thing, but a professional coach putting his life on the line for like the team's budget or finance, it's like, oh, this might affect like me keeping the lights on at home or something else.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
if you don't have, just like you were saying, if you don't have like a nice, legit, cushy offer from whatever country, whatever league, it is a journey. It is a grind.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I got lucky. Like, I was getting paid 1,500 with 1,500 a month, and with like housing provided, utilities and like, so like in actuality, like that could come out to what, about 25 to 3,000. Like if you include rent for the house,
Right.
they put five of us up in the house. So, but my thing was um like that, I thought that's a solid starting point. So I was just like, all right, let's do well and then let's try to get overseas. Let's try to get to Europe next. And when I stopped, I tell people I had a workout lined up. There was a camp, and I reached out to the guy. His name is Brad Canis. He does the Euro Pro Basket,
Yeah.
or in is it Girona or something?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I just finished playing in Canada. You know, is this really worth it? Like, I don't BS me. Like." And he was like, he was like, all right, send me like some highlights or whatever. So I sent him a couple of things. He was like, okay, like this definitely, you play Division 1, you just finished your first year, rookie year.
Mhm.
I think we can get you a couple teams. Unfortunately, he was like, they might be a lower level league, like a third league.
Mhm.
I think there's a couple teams that were like, yeah, we're gonna come and we'll definitely look at him. So um issue was I had to pay my way out there,
Yeah.
flight, stay, and I just, in the pay, I knew the pay there would have been lower than what I had. If you think back on it, if I would have just taken that L and did it, who knows? I would have moved up, and
Right.
you don't know. You really don't. But
Yeah.
I can't live you can't live in what ifs.
Right.
So like I said, just a learning, it was a journey. Like I said, and I can tell my experience, my journey,
Yeah.
and everybody has to figure it out on their own. Take my advice for what it is. you can listen, you don't have to, but this is what I went through. Your
Yeah.
journey may be harder, your journey may be easier, but it's not easy playing at a low level league and then working your way up. You got to have,
But
just like making getting lucky to get to the NBA.
yeah,
It's a little bit of luck when you're trying to find a team and then working your way up.
yeah. Um, so then after all this, I'm sure there's a period in between, but when did you start NODAT? What was the motivation behind that? And then what are some challenges you kind of face being an entrepreneur and that are kind of specific to like being a basketball trainer, entrepreneur?
Um, so I created No Days Off training when I graduated college, 2015. So like I said, I started the business, but I wasn't full time into it.
Mm,
And like I said, I was just always in basketball. So I was already training kids. Like I was training kids on the side before I made the business to make some extra money on the side. Like the first kid, one of the first kids I ever trained, he ended up going to Fairfield. He wrote his entry essay or whatever on me and how I motivated him, which was very touching. Jack Malkowitz. So we'll never forget him. Always my guy. Um, and from there, it was like I said, it was just um the plan was I put a team together, my friends who had different experiences in different fields, and we were thinking about making No Days Off training all sports. Like I was thinking like a high elite level. I went to Fairfield. I was thinking like bringing some Fairfield guys on in terms from like lacrosse, soccer, like their sports program is really solid. Like overall, swimming's really good. Like just to get that network and use it to my advantage for those who are interested in still training the sport.
mm,
We would get a facility in the area and then train. Too big, right? We figured out that was too much.
yeah,
Stuck to basketball. Figured let's niche it, make it more towards basketball.
right.
Um, Obviously, it's changed from like basketball training to like both. I wanted to provide both,
Mm,
performance training, athletic wise, and then basketball. I have somebody to do that stuff, and yeah, the business model has always changed. It's getting to a point where it's starting to smooth out, and but it's trial and error. Like you got to move. Like yeah, I watched a bunch of guys like Eric Thomas for motivation, Gary Vee for understanding like business stuff. I had got my degree in finance and I wasn't ready for any of this. Like if I knew I was gonna want to be my own boss, I should have did entrepreneurship in college,
mhm,
outside of or marketing or something that would have helped, or management, just because that's what you're doing. You're managing your funds. You're figuring out what you need to order and things like that. I mean, I got my degree in finance and I don't use anything with finance, which is sad.
that's how it goes
Kidding.
sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's like I only did finance because my father said like you can make a lot of money, and if anything, if your process doesn't work out, and yeah, like Fairfield's network is really good. The alumni base, just haven't used it yet. So yeah, so I was coaching. Like I said, I worked at a headhunting company, finding people for some tech firms, and
Mm,
um still chasing the overseas thing, and then worked in a startup for a little bit, and was coaching,
yeah,
and then decided to go out with coaching. Um, Figured, all right, I use coaching, go back, get my master's, hopefully get a GA spot. Went to Fork Union, Virginia. I was still training. Like I felt like I was a very valuable assistant coach because of my player development style. Like that's my goal. That's what I do. And we had a team that I didn't recruit anybody down there. I was in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. I'm talking about farmland for
yeah, yeah.
100 miles. Like
The
the
South.
closest city, yeah, it was south. Like closest city was 45 minutes. Charlottesville, where University of Virginia is, that's 45 minutes away. Richmond, 50 minutes away. Like I had a Walmart that was 25 minutes away. I have to drive there.
Oof.
Get stuff like it was. I mean, 25 minutes isn't a lot. It's more the fact you're driving in country and just following it, and it's just
Okay.
long.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
it's not like you're on a highway and it's just country, like
Yeah.
one, 2 lanes
Yeah.
for a long,
Just
long.
farm cows.
Yeah, yeah, cows, all that. And yeah, and that's where I met some people. Um I was really good at it. I was really good. And I was guys on the team, like this is where I started learning the mental psyche. You think guys thinking they're Division 1 guys and they might not be, and trying to figure out how to let them know, like, hey, like getting a full ride to school, Division 2 is just as good, where they want you and they do this, that, and the third. Like, like why not? Like why what's the issue?
Yeah.
Like D1 dream isn't all what it's cracked up to be. And I told them my story, and like they're like, oh well, yeah, like your journey is different from mine. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But like there's nothing like going somewhere where a coach wants you and to play.
Uh, go
You
where
know,
you wanted.
yeah, go where you want it. And a couple of
Yeah.
those coaches, a couple of the kids understood that and did that. Got a kid to walk on at Clemson. I don't know how I was able to do that. I made the intro and they pulled the strings. I had another kid that went D1, and my recruiting class that I had coming in, like I was that grew recruiting class. If I stayed, I think more of those kids would end up coming, but I left last minute. But yeah, and in terms of challenges for the entrepreneurship, like it didn't come until after I decided to go full time. So
Yeah.
after Fork Union, really.
Yeah.
So we went to the Final Four. That's where I first had my conversation with DJ Sackman,
Mhm.
and he did a thing. I met so many coaches there. It was so crazy, like Tubby Smith, like Patrick Ewing, and so I didn't talk to Calipari, but I saw John Calipari. Like
Yeah.
Final Four is
That's a
crazy.
huge networking event for
Yeah,
people in the
for
basketball world. Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was that. That was good. That was an experience, and I definitely would love to do it again. That was 2019 in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Um and after I met DJ, we kept in contact. I was like, you have any kids that you need to send to PG school, like a post grad school, let me know. And we had a couple conversations. Then he reached out. He was like, I need a trainer. I'm like, why? What's up? And he's like, I need to send somebody to China.
Mhm.
He's like, send me some training clips. So I sent him everything. And then he was like, okay, this is really good. Like, I was like, well, so what do I have to do? Do I have to pay? He's like, no, everything's taken care of. You just got to go get your visa. We'll take care of that. We have a ambassador. No, what is it? Somebody who was able to expedite the process.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um, and then I need you to just come in for a week to just shadow me.
Mm.
Like, all right, cool. So I went to Jersey for a whole week. When I came back, for like a week, and then literally the following week I left to China for 2 months.
Yeah.
Great experience. It made me a really good trainer. Um, it really did, because you had to explain
Yeah.
stuff and teach stuff with this huge language barrier. I had
Yeah.
a translator, but even
Still.
with there's things that aren't they can't translate well. So it was an experience. And like I said, when after China, like China, they love basketball there. They treated me so good. I
Mhm.
felt like an NBA star. Like like those kids really looked up. They were like, "Can we take it?" Like when I left, everyone wanted an autograph picture. We did a jersey swap.
Yeah.
They gave a kid a NODAT, or at the time it was a No Days Off T-shirt, and he gave me his one of his Chinese jerseys.
Okay.
Um, and like yeah, like it was really sentimental to me. Like those kids made an impact on those kids. And I deleted WeChat, but I had all of them on WeChat.
Oh
And
man, WeChat's the thing, man. That
yeah,
is.
that thing get lights up, lights up.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was definitely an experience, very different food culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then when I came back, full-time trainer, I was working with DJ, and that's when I was trying to figure out charging? What do I need to charge? How do
Mhm.
I get gym time? And those are my biggest issues. Like gym time has always been pricing, gym time, um, availability. What should I do? Should I do privates? Should I do groups? Like I was just all over the place. And, I wanted to kind of, I was using DJ and use like talking to him and figuring it out. And, social media he got big with social media at the right time. He understood it. He's trying to stay ahead of the game and things like that. So, though I would say those are were my biggest challenges, just like time management, like understanding when to schedule things,
Yeah.
finding space, even right now, finding a gym.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really it.
Nice, man. No, that is quite the journey. And the whole China experience, man, I know it too, know it far too well too. But that's dope. You got to experience that. But it is kind of consistent with like your whole story, though, right? It's just like just keep pushing, keep striving, and then like things will come your way. Like you are gonna have your pitfalls, but if you just stay with it and stay consistent, good things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, what it in Interested to hear, what are your opinions on the trainer industry currently, like where it's going? Because definitely when we were elementary, middle, high school, we
Non-existent.
didn't exist, right? It was like you went to the local Y or the rec center and you just
But
learned from the older kids, or maybe you had an uncle or a cousin who would show you a few things, but most of it was self-taught and just extreme trial and error, right? You would go play pickup, you do a move, crap, it didn't work. All right, gotta try something else. Now it's like kids can go to you and you're like, in a nice way, but like, hey, your crossover's trash, or
yeah,
hey, your
yeah, yeah.
elbow's out too far. Let me show you how to get your elbow in. Which is good, but do you see trainers sticking around forever? And what are the pros and cons, I guess, you're kind of observing in the whole thing?
Um, this is where I've been trying to figure it out. Like I don't think you can replace what trainers do. Especially when it's like face to face. Like
Mhm.
there's something, it's not just training, it's also relationships. And you develop something, when you're in the gym, like even NBA guys from what I've seen interact with like their trainers, it's like it's more than just that basketball relationship. Yeah, they're entrusting you with their career with the on the NBA side, but you are a friend to a capacity.
Mhm.
Like if their head is not clear, they're not
Right.
going to eat that well.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've learned. But the industry is very saturated. I think it's shifting to the point where it's like trainers are finally little stopping seeing each other as competitors per
Mhm.
se. Like, why are you training with him? He's trash. Like, no, like I think we're getting to the point where like, hey, I respect what you're doing. Let's collab.
Right.
Or like, hey, I can't train you on these days. Go to this guy because I trust him.
Right.
Like that's the spot where I'm really trying to kind of help here in Connecticut too. Just stop seeing each other as competition, whether now I'm not saying like competition in terms of negative talk, like competition, like I still want to be the best trainer. Like
Right.
I want still want to be a leader in the industry. I'm not, there's nothing, I'm gonna still, do what I do and do it at the best of my ability. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna tear somebody else down to do it, or I'm not gonna help someone try to elevate themselves.
Yeah.
It's not about us. It's about the players.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that sometimes. And I think, obviously the leaders in the industry have talked about it recently too, and trying to make people more aware of it. But like I said, I'm very confident in my abilities. And I think, like I said, the future, it's not going to be here. I don't think it'll always be here, but in terms of forever, I'm not sure. Um, I'm already trying to like play with things like talking about like VR. Like, I'm not playing with VR yet, but I'm, looking into it. Um, with the metaverse we have going on, and it's in talks. It's just like I said, it's the beginning phases of stuff like that. and then like NFTs, maybe including an NFT and things like that. Like we're going to this digitalized world where it's like, what can we do to kind of revolutionize the training game
Mhm.
without losing the essential core things? Like, I'm not saying I'm going to teach you how to shoot through the metaverse. I could probably teach you to dribble better and move.
Yeah.
I can't teach you how to shoot through like video. Like
Right.
you
There's
shooting,
something you need
yeah,
in
you
person.
gotta, yeah,
Yeah.
you can see things, but like if you're there, you can actually touch and like, hey, like this is where you need this
Right.
X, Y, Z.
Nice, man. Um, no, I agree, and I do agree with that too. I definitely noticed that when trainers started becoming like a thing, it was like cutthroat competitive, and you would have like grown men basically just like shit talking each other and being like, "Don't go and train with him," or "He doesn't know what he's talking about." To now, you're starting to see, and I've seen you just like do stuff like Drew Hanlen and other guys where it's like, how can we build together? How can we grow together? There's enough, there are enough kids in the country, in your state, in your city that we can all eat at the same table. We don't have to fight over the food. Um, but I've definitely have had stuff where, especially if you're doing like an outdoor training session, another guy will show up, like just not even look at each other, right? Like two grown men, like not even make eye contact because we're too territorial about like, well, this is my 13-year-old I'm training. This is my 13-year-old I'm training. It's like, yeah, we could, if we work together, we could probably get 10 13-year-olds and then split that cost. But
And but that's and like it's crazy. I just like watch the Kevin Hart Jay-Z conversation on
mhm,
his show on Peacock, and then he just literally there was a video this morning talking about like what's the biggest, especially within our community,
mhm,
the minority community. It's just like we always like are very competitive with ourselves, like with each other.
yeah,
And Kevin Hart was speaking like, if you notice, can you name 5 bands that are still together from back in the day?
right,
No.
right,
Why is that? Why did they break up?
yeah, yeah,
Money,
yeah,
right? And then the conversation with Jay-Z, it was like instead of, but like Kevin Hart was talking about saying, I don't like making all that money and you don't have anybody to eat at the table with.
right.
Well, you're by yourself.
That was,
What's
yeah.
fun?
What's
So,
the point?
and then with Jay-Z, he was like, we were taught to think like owning everything of a company or something is like it means something.
Yeah,
But we have to flip that perspective. Like owning 100% of nothing is not good,
right.
right? But if you own 50% of something and you have the other 50 doing something,
Yeah,
you're money.
yeah.
Like he said, Jay-Z said, what's his who was the CEO of Apple before he passed?
Oh, Steve Jobs?
Was it Steve Jobs? Yeah, I think no, no, I don't know if Jay-Z said Steve Jobs or somebody else, but anyway, Steve Jobs, he said Steve Jobs owned 1% of Apple.
Mhm.
But 1% of what? $2 trillion or
Right.
whatever. Like really think about that.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
that's over $1 billion right there. Like, so it's like to the point of what we're talking about, like you just said, you can split things up as a group instead of just, viewing each other as competition.
yeah. No, man, no, that is so true, and I like that you said the owning 100% of nothing is nothing, which I don't
Yeah.
think many people realize.
Yeah.
Want to get you out of here soon, but if someone were to follow your footsteps, whether it be playing or starting their own company, what are like one or two pieces of advice you would give to that person?
Be yourself, right? You want to do things that make you happy, right? We get one life, and like sometimes we kind of like lose sight of that,
Mhm.
right? And we want to get money or we want to have fame, especially in the social media era. Like, don't worry about what everybody's doing. And I'm saying I'm not saying I'm perfect with it. I still look like guy. I look at Drew. I'm like, damn, I can get there. Like, but instead of comparing where he is and where I am, his journey led him to that point. Like
Right.
it's been 10 plus years in the making.
Right.
I've been training on and off full-time training. This is going on my third year, but I was on and off since, college,
Right.
So like, long story short, like, be yourself, do what makes you happy. And when you do that, like, you're in a good mental space. The other thing is education, constant education. Like, I watch videos on Drew, DJ, all these other guys, the new mentorship program. I have a guy named Phil Beckner, and he not performed, but he did a piece at Drew Hanlen's pro trainer school in Las Vegas when I went last week. And I was just in awe of him. And it's because of his standard, how he carries himself. And I'm like, I need to learn that for myself. I
Yeah.
need to be like, that betters me. He's like, he said, you have to better you so you can better players. If you aren't doing that, then you're failing your player because they're trusting you with their dream.
Yeah.
And that really hit me. So like, I just joined his mentorship program for the last 2 months, just to learn from him. He trains Damian Lillard. That's his guy.
Okay.
He coached
Yeah.
him at Weber State and basically said, Damian said, all right, you're gonna quit coaching. You're gonna be my full-time trainer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll pay you what you need. I was like, damn.
Right. Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's nice. But and then he also trained Anfrey Simons in front
Yeah.
of us the event, which was great to see. And then yeah. And so like those are the two things. Continue educating yourself, getting yourself better, and doing things that make you happy. Those are my two things.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. Where can people find you? Plug your stuff. What are the handles?
So if you want to check me out, it's Stephen J. Nodat. Right? Let me just double check
Double
that
check
really quick
that.
though. Just let me that's me on Stephen J. Nodat. Yeah, Stephen J. Nodat on Instagram. NODAT Training _ is the training page. Twitter, I think I was smart and did everything. Yep, Stephen J. Nodat on Twitter, and same thing on TikTok. I have a new podcast I used to do. Our last interview was
Yep.
the NODAT podcast, but now I started a new podcast with a fellow trainer. His name's Devin Still. It's called The
Yeah.
Basketball List. So if you guys check that out, really good. We got to bring you on, Drew.
Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
Yeah, we got to bring you on and talk about your experiences again, and kind of go from there. Dev is a very funny dude. He's very like I'm here.
Yeah.
Dev is like, and so it's kind of like we mesh well.
Need that balance.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
mesh well together. So those are where you can find me.
Nice, man. Well, Steve, bro, I appreciate you dropping by and taking the time out, man. Everybody else, just bought a book spotlight. Catch you guys next time.